Hi, Jennifer Witt here with the Witt Law Group on why you should fight every speeding ticket or any other infraction in the state of Washington. Stay tuned. So why should you fight every ticket in the state of Washington? Well, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know the state of Washington made a change a couple years ago to where if you have 3 moving infractions in 1 year or 4 in 2 years, you will have your license suspended. So, and unlike if you had a DUI and could get the ignition interlock license and continue to drive, you don't have that option if you are suspended due to traffic tickets. So it is really, really important to, if you haven't watched those videos, go back and look at the consequence of that, how you end up suspended, what all the conditions are to get your license reinstated. But on this particular video, I just wanted to point out, the obvious one first that I've covered is the suspension. I mean, it's no joke. It is really challenging, and a lot of people bump up on it because the ticket, to hire a lawyer is usually a few $100s, and the ticket might be $150, and you think, I'm just going to pay it, and then I'll just deal with whatever other insurance rates if they raise. I'm certainly not going to pay someone that much money. The problem with that is, number one, when you fight a traffic ticket, most people don't fight the right factors of the ticket. They hear, well, I'll just subpoena the officer and that'll do it. He'll never show. That doesn't typically work. I know that there are many stories out there where it has worked, but it gives people a sense of false confidence if they do contest it. Or they mitigate the ticket and they think, well, I'll just pay less and that won't be such a big deal for me. That is a problem because those mitigated tickets will still count towards your 3 or 4 that will suspend your license. So you really need someone to fight the ticket, and if the ticket cannot be dismissed, it needs to be negotiated to a certain non-moving. Typically, there is one that we try to negotiate to so that it doesn't affect your insurance rates, because sometimes certain non-moving tickets will still affect your insurance because they are reported by the Department of Licensing. So it's a little bit tricky. It's not so simple as just showing up and saying, well, I've done my own studies. And I mean, I've heard a lot of arguments and they're very creative, and I applaud your effort to defend yourself, but they just don't work very well. Oftentimes people will say something in the contested hearing that actually immediately causes the judge to find them it's not guilty, you're essentially committed is the term. You're committed on the infraction because they'll say something that is in violation of the traffic laws. So they might say, for example, I wasn't going 52 in a 45, I was going 47 in a 45, so their speed measuring device is incorrect. Well, 47 is over 45, and hence you are now found committed of speeding. It doesn't really matter that the officer's report in your mind is incorrect. So just be aware of that. So I'm kind of getting off topic here. I had 3 things I wanted to talk about, but number 1, obviously you can be suspended. Number 2 is that contested hearing. If it matters to you to be suspended or it matters for your future, hire a defense attorney who knows what they're doing. And on that same point, a family law attorney may be an excellent attorney for you in the family law realm. Be very careful about just choosing any lawyer. And the reason is, if you don't do this all the time, you don't know that, for example, Pierce County doesn't staff a prosecutor, but Kitsap County does. So how you're going to negotiate and argue are very different. Your likelihood of getting a dismissal in Pierce is way higher than in Kitsap. Hence, in Kitsap, you would need to know, gee, I need to negotiate this case unless I see something obviously from a legal standpoint wrong with the report. An inexperienced layperson or even another attorney who doesn't do this would be like me reviewing a family law matter. I mean, I could give you my opinion, but it's certainly not as valuable as someone who practices family law day in and day out. So be careful about asking a friend, like, gee, my buddy, he's a real estate lawyer, he'll do it for me. Not the best plan. do what you like, but that's just my 2 cents. Make sure if you're going to have a lawyer help you, it is an experienced traffic ticket defense lawyer. And finally, this is a couple of the long-term consequences as to why you might want to fight it. And often we don't have these consequences in front of us. Like I'm not a delivery driver today, or I'm not an Uber driver today, but maybe when I retire, I want to do something to pick up a little cash later. Having a history of traffic tickets or speeding tickets, or suppose you're in construction or you do medical deliveries, those companies will run background checks and they will see your history, your driving history or your driving abstract. And that can influence whether you are hired. It often does. So sometimes people will call us and they say, I'm not too worried about it. I had a couple tickets, a year or two ago. I don't know if I really want to pay for this, but that third ticket can be the nail in the coffin for the license. But on top of it, you never know in a year or two. These tickets don't fall off for several years off your record in terms of employers looking at them and insurance companies looking at them. And that brings me to insurance as well. The reason the employers don't want you with this history, even if it's not terrible, is that insurance rates go up. You are more of a risk for the employer and for the insurance company. So don't be surprised in Washington. We're seeing anything from 15% to 30% increase just for one ticket, depending on the type of insurance you have. Some have a forgiveness for one ticket, some don't. And across the board, we're seeing massive insurance increases anyway. So you don't want to tack on the extra, 15 to 30% when they've already done big jumps in insurance rates in Washington. So hopefully that is, a couple of ideas for you as to why I suggest you fight those tickets. Obviously, license suspension being the most important one, but, future employment opportunities could be gone, as well as, the cost of your insurance. So just, it's definitely a cost-benefit analysis. If you feel really confident and you know your stuff, you could try. But my suggestion is to call a lawyer in your area who's experienced in this and hash it out with the lawyer and see what options you have. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you.